What's up, Gabriela?
All
What's
right,
the word?
you're good to go.
Good morning, Dr. Hada.
Happy birthday again.
Thank you.
What's this? You turned 17?
17.
Wow, the big 1-7, huh? Cool. Disney fan, it looks like.
Absolutely. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone
Yeah.
for coming, and we're gonna just hop right in. So our first question for you is, what brought you to Skyline?
What brought me to Skyline? I'd like to say that it was fate and chance. Both are very similar, I suppose. Yeah, I actually moved to Oakland in fall of 2019. I was following my wife who got a role out here in Oakland, and yeah, in a relationship, you kind of just you make a commitment to do some things, right? In this case, she was excited about a job, and I made the decision to follow her, even if I didn't have a job lined up, right? The reason why I say fate is because the I had heard that there was an opening at Skyline as for an assistant principal, and I just happened to come across my plate. Is that the analogy or the expression? I don't know, but it had to come up. Long story short, and when I came to visit Skyline, it seemed like a really dope community, and here I am. Do you all mind if I enjoy my delicious peanut butter sandwich while we talk? I hope not. But that's how I ended up at Skyline. No regrets.
Yeah, well, you're super dope. I'm super glad to have you. We're super glad
Thank
to have
you.
you at Skyline. And when did you decide to work with youth? Like that was what you wanted to do?
That's a good question. Sorry for eating with food in my mouth. I think it was around high school, even though it wasn't like a conscious decision. I realized that high school was whack. Like high school sucks. Like the way that school is set up was just not good. And I had a really terrible high school experience. I did, however, I was fortunate, just like most, I hope that all of our students do at the very least, have like one dope adult that they interact with where they feel like, oh man, this one's different. Like this one can do things differently. And that's the experience that I had. I had a handful of dope teachers, and I was like, yo, I can do this. And I know they had a really good impact on my life. So yeah, I think I've told quite a few folks that like I said, I hated high school. I barely graduated high school. I went straight to community college. Nothing wrong with that by any means. But I wasn't prepared for college. I like struggled in community college also. In GPA, my first semester in community college was like a 0.67. It was terrible. And then yeah, I realized like, yo, this is not what I want to do with my life. It's also not how I want to pay back all the sacrifices that my parents had made for me and all my siblings. So like those two things intersected. It was like, yo, I had this dope experience in high school with a handful of teachers, and like this need to like validate the sacrifices that my parents had made. And I pursued education. And it was dope. I felt like I was naturally like good at it. And here I am.
Next question kind of builds on to what you said earlier. Describe the best teacher that you ever had and why.
That's a really great question. Okay, I'm gonna go back to first grade, and she wasn't even my teacher. She was actually a fourth grade teacher in the school that I was at. But because there were so many Hadas at that school, I have 5 siblings, 3 of which are older. She had my siblings, and so she knew my family relatively well. So for whatever reason in first grade, I don't know if it was like the size of my head. She's like, man, that kid has a big ass head. That kid must be smart. She was like, we should get Ricardo tested because he's demonstrating a level of like not like skill that is like above his grade level. Long story short, she was advocating for me. Like I wasn't even asking for her, like she was advocating. They had me tested, and long story short, I ended up skipping an entire grade. So like I was in first grade for like a couple of weeks, and they ended me moving me to second grade because my reading levels were like off the charts apparently. And apparently I colored very well. That's what no, I'm just kidding. I don't know. But this gave me a whole grade, and like that altered my like life trajectory, right? Because I think about like if I had graduated a year later, I think my life would have been like completely different. But the reason why she stands out for me is because not only was she advocating for me, right? When I ended up having her in fourth grade, because she was still the fourth grade teacher, um, I could tell that she loved me and she loved all of her kids. But her love is not what most people would define as like, oh, here, let me wrap my arms around you. I'm going to love you regardless. And those are important things. Absolutely. Her love also included like high expectations, right? Like she knew when I wasn't living up to my own potential, my own expectation, that she'd, give me the figure to kick in the ass, right? Like Ricardo, like, what are you doing? Like, this isn't you. And I need that. Like everybody needs that, right? And that's why when I think about when I tell my kids, like students, like, man, I love you, like it isn't like the just like the love that you think about, like, like a creepy type of love. I don't know. It just comes to mind. Like, like, what do you mean? No, I mean, I love you because I want the best for you. I have high expectations for you, and I'm going to be there for you, and I'm going to keep it real with you, right? Like, I'm going to tell you, like, when you're like out of line, right? But always know that my arms are always going to be open for you because I love you like that, right? And that's always resonating with me, and that's kind of what I hope to, like, I don't know, emulate in my practice. Hope that
Yeah,
makes sense.
it's always good to know that like teachers care about you and they like want you to succeed. Always a good
Right.
feeling.
Like
So
legit care, you know what I mean? Not
yeah.
like fake, like they genuinely, yeah.
So who is a leader that you look up to?
That's a good question. Okay, this is gonna sound kind of funny, right? And I'm not very religious, even though I was raised Catholic. Like, I'm a cultural Catholic, as I tell folks. I'm Mexican, so like Catholicism is really closely intertwined with Mexicanness. Not always, but I'm gonna go with Jesus, and not as like a biblical figure, but rather as like a historical figure. Because if you were to take his like his like actions, like we know that he historically existed, right? And if you were to take like his teachings just at face value and not like attach them to like some religious like belief, but rather kind of like a way of approaching life, the dude was dope. The dude was like, like his core values very much align with like my own core values. And I feel like he never like explicitly called himself, at least that I know of, right? I had to do a close read of the Bible, but like he was never like, I'm gonna lead you all. Like he was always about the work, right? He was always about like serving and like advocating and like I don't know. That I don't know if that makes entire sense, but like he's someone that like there's someone that I like look up to as like a dope leader, right? And like kind of a dope person. Like I said, even if you're not religious, like his teachings and philosophy, I thought that's why I want to be as a leader, right? There's also like this idea of like sacrificing yourself for the greater something that's bigger than you for a greater good. I feel like that's something that really resonated with me, mostly because I feel like that is something that my parents like demonstrate. It's like they sacrifice a lot for a greater good, and their greater good was like me and my siblings. So I don't know, I feel like that's really intertwined with my approach to like leadership. So, and I've told folks like I'm not afraid to lose my job if it means that it's going to lead to like better lives for like my community, right? For our young people and our families. And that's legit. That's real.
I think it's like the idea of like selflessness as a leader.
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
So on an opposite note, what is the worst job you've ever had?
Oh, man, that's a good question. Okay, it's kind of an interesting one. I've had quite a few jobs. Um, Man, I don't know if okay, I'm gonna go with Best Buy. So I worked at Best Buy for college for like 3 years. And let me tell you something, Best Buy was a pretty dope college job. They paid relatively well and the discounts are pretty good. Like pretty good. And I enjoyed it to start off with, but I grew to really resent and hate the job because um, I ended up being like moved to the computer department. I was in the Geek Squad for a while, believe it or not. Um, but I also sold computers. And I hate selling things. I was like, objectively, people would say that I was really good at it because I'm a very like relational person, and like I could like, talk. It just felt like, I don't know, it just felt dirty. And maybe because it was like just so capitalistic that it just something didn't feel right. I don't know, but I ended up really resenting and hating that job. But I actually had a line of like really interesting jobs. I worked at Best Buy. I worked at an amusement park called Knott's Berry Farm, which is kind of like the second cousin to Disneyland. They're not related, but like it's not as good as Disneyland, but I enjoyed it. Got Snoopy as the main character. I worked at Hollywood Video, which doesn't exist anymore, along with Blockbuster, but it was the same concept as a big chain video store, which I loved because we got free video rentals. That was part of the perk. We could check out movies all the time. And I love movies. That's how I escaped reality. I'd watch these dope films from like, especially foreign films from different countries. I'd just escape. Definitely really helped like strengthen my creativity and imagination. Anyway, now that I think about it, I'm pretty fortunate that I've had like a string of like actually interesting and dope jobs, for the most part. So maybe I'd answer the question directly, but that's my answer.
Yeah, definitely. I think
Mhm.
the movie job is definitely a good thing. Lots
Yeah.
of discounts.
It's funny. Yeah. It's funny. When Netflix first came out, we had got word of it when I was still working in Hollywood Video, and my manager boss laughed and said that it would never compete with Blockbuster and Hollywood Video. Look at it now.
Dang.
Crazy times. Yeah,
Tipped. Scales have definitely tipped.
we have.
So, where did you grow up and how does it compare to Oakland?
I grew up in what many folks refer to as Southeast LA. Now, LA is the second biggest city in the country. Geographically, it's like spread out, right? And LA, the city, is pretty big, but LA County, it's like the biggest county in the entire country. It's massive. And I grew up in a section of LA County called Southeast LA, which is right up in the armpits of the border of the city of Los Angeles. So I don't know what the comparable like geographical comparison would be here in like Oakland, but maybe like San Leandro in terms of like it's right next to Oakland. And yeah, you can the border into San Leandro, but it all looked the same, if that made sense. So all these like small, tiny little cities are smushed up next to the city of Los Angeles, but they all just look the same, right? Yeah, and the little city I grew up in it's called Bell Gardens. It's still there, like it disappeared or anything. But yeah, it's easier to say I'm from LA because it's all just LA, right? And the way that I describe it is it reminds me very much of the East Oakland. Yeah, it reminds me a lot of like East Oakland. I think there's a lot more like taco stands back in LA than there are here in East Oakland that I've seen. But otherwise, in terms of demographics, it sounds the same. It smells the same. The food in the streets, like languages you hear in the streets, it's pretty much it. That's a comparison I would make.
All right. So, next question is what is home to you? Like, what does the word home mean?
Man, that's deep. Home means, I don't know, comfort. I feel like not just like physical comfort, but just kind of like emotional, mental comfort, right? Where I don't have to like, I don't know, be on. Not that I turn on, not that I'm like acting or anything, but I don't know. I'm a pretty strong introvert. So oftentimes I have to use a lot of my energy during the day to be like very extroverted, but I'm not really. So when I get home or to a place I call home, I just want it to be a place where I could like restore and recharge, if that makes sense. So, I mean, yeah, I've called a lot of different places like a home, right? And I could get that feeling in a lot of places once like it becomes, I don't know, once I make it my own, right? But if you want to get like deeper philosophical level, like spiritual level, like home's always going to be LA. Like that's just, I was born and raised there, you know what I mean? And like I'll never say that I'm not from there. And there's always a special, especially since I've been away for a while now. I've been away for like going on 7 years now. I feel like every time I do go home, it feels like, I don't know, like I never left. That sounds corny as hell. That's truth. That's truth. So yeah, that's what I guess that's how I describe home, or try to describe home anyway.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Our next question is, what makes you smile?
Huh. So it's funny. I really only smile when I laugh. I'm not a big smiler. And it's not like I do it intentionally. It isn't like I don't want to smile. But yeah, I usually just smile when I laugh, and I tend to laugh a lot at things. I like laughing. Yeah, make me laugh, and I'll be smiling.
I'll try. I'll see what I can do. Okay. Oh, here we go. Maybe this one will get you.
Let's see.
How spicy do you like your hot wings? Your
Not at
chicken
all.
wings?
Nothing.
Not at all.
Here's the thing, and people always talk crap about this because they're like, "I thought you were a Mexican." I'm like, dog, what's that supposed to mean? I don't like spicy food. I don't like spicy food. It's like, I compare it to like paying to go watch a scary movie. Like, why am I going to pay money to experience something that brings me discomfort? Right? Like, I don't like being scared. Who likes being scared? Right? I'm not going to pay for that. It's like, why am I going to pay for like a spice to put on food if it's not going to it's not going to bring me like joy? Right? Now that's me. I can't tolerate some spice. I can tolerate some spice, but if I were to go to Wingstop, it's lemon pepper for me all the way. Delicious, nice and savory. Love it.
Yeah, I'm also Mexican, and I don't like spicy like wings. Like I can throw some jalapenos on some stuff, but I'm not really into
Yeah, that's
wings.
fine, but I'm not actively going to seek it out. Is what I'm
Yeah.
trying to get at.
Yeah. Okay. What is the first thing that you do in the morning? Like, as soon as you wake up.
All right, how much information y'all want? So I get up, I have a glass of water next to me. I always have a glass of water ready to go in the morning. I take my multivitamins first thing, and I have my multivitamins all set out every day of the week. I go to the bathroom. I prepare my daily face regimen, which I follow very closely. I put my first product on, and then while my first product is doing its thing, put my contacts in, go to the kitchen, and then I finalize the final parts of my food for the day. So my lunch is already usually cooked, but then I prepare extra snacks for the day, like a delicious peanut butter sandwich, or I will cut up some plums. Depending what my needs are for the day, I track my food very closely, because just for like health reasons. So yeah, that's what I do in the morning. By the time I'm doing that, while I'm doing that, I'm listening to music on my headphones. My face thing is doing its thing, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. Once I pack my food, finish up my face stuff, get dressed, and then get on with the day. But that's what I usually do in the morning, first thing, which is a lot of things. I know the question said first thing, but it's all one big thing for me.
Yeah. I definitely am a snack person too. I always pack snacks. It's just something people know about me.
That's right. If you stay ready, you won't have to be ready, right?
Yeah. So what is your most used emoji?
That, let me take a look, because it usually saves the your frequency in the front, doesn't it? Oh,
Yeah.
it's the sad little emoji, the somber one. Looks like it's the most frequently used right now. But it's also the upside down smiley face is my second one. That's so funny. Never really paid attention to that. There you go. Most used emojis.
Mine's always the laughing crying emoji. That's
Yeah.
like, I like it a lot, so like that's favorite one.
That's in there too. It's a good one.
I think I might know this by what you're eating right now, but what is your favorite sandwich and why?
Oh man. So I do enjoy a delicious peanut butter sandwich, particularly crunchy peanut butter, far superior than smooth peanut butter, if you ask me. Man, I'm not a huge sandwich eater. Like, even though you just saw me eating a sandwich, I'm trying to think. No, I'll go with the peanut butter. I'll go with the peanut butter sandwich. Sprinkle a little salt on it too. Is that a little weird? I like salty peanut butter. It's just my pref. But a nicely toasted. Yeah, that sounds delicious. Let's go with that. Crunchy peanut butter sandwich. Pinch of salt on top. Maybe some buttery toast. Oh, wait a minute. A grilled cheese. I love grilled cheese sandwiches.
There you go.
A nice grilled cheese on sourdough that's nicely buttered, sharp cheddar cheese. My goodness, it sounds amazing. And maybe some bacon if you want to be fancy.
Oh, nice.
You know, it's a little pricey, but you know, if you want to splurge sometimes,
yeah,
put a little bacon in there. Mm-hmm.
What are your quarantine must-haves? Like shows, food, anything.
Quarantine must-haves. Let's see. When quarantine first started, I love popcorn. So you eat a lot of popcorn. So I was eating a lot of it. I was trying to make my own for a bit, like pop my own. It's delicious. It's just got too lazy, you know. But popcorn is a good go-to. And then what are my other go-to like snacks? No, I'm just gonna stick with popcorn, regular popcorn, and then Costco sells this big, huge jumbo bag of cheddar and caramel popcorn that is just amazingly addictive, and maybe not the best ways, but I love popcorn. Popcorn's really good. That's my go-to snack. If I could eat it forever, I would. That and cucumbers. Like, I love a really good pepino. Like, if it's just like freshly peeled with some like lemon and tahini on top. I love salty and savory foods. My shows, good question. I feel like whatever. Oh man, that's so interesting. I feel like I just kind of watch whatever is like most recent that sounds good that pops on. And I feel like I've seen like a lot of things, but nothing's really coming to mind. The most recent thing I've watched is The Crown on Netflix, season 4. I know it sounds kind of weird. The Crown, British monarchy, they're kind of whack, but the acting's pretty good, which I appreciate. And I also really appreciate the reason why I like it is because I enjoy a really good score. When television shows or movies have like good musical scores, it just kind of brings things together. They have a pretty good score, which I appreciate. It's a really like weird ass answers, aren't they? Just like out there talking about movie scores. Anyway, feel free to throw some curveballs. Do you ask all the admin the same questions?
Yeah.
Feel free to throw some curveballs if you're down. I'm totally down to AMA. Ask me anything.
Okay.
You're able to. I have an open book this morning. The day before Thanksgiving break.
Yes, very true. Okay. If things went back to normal starting tonight, what would you do? Like completely normal?
Book a flight. I'd book a flight. I'd probably book a flight to Mexico City, which is probably one of my favorite cities in the entire world. I haven't been to all the cities in the entire world, but I've been to a few, and Mexico City is dope. And then I'd probably go see family in Mexico, and they're in Zacatecas, which is about like an hour flight from Mexico City. So Mexico for sure. And then for the longest, I've been really wanting to. Timing might be good now, but I could still book a flight because I could take this trip later on, like next summer, for example. I've been to Iceland once. Iceland's pretty dope. It's like natural, like nature-wise, it's like super dope space. Like, it's just like wild. It's like, I mean, they filmed like a lot of Game of Thrones there. If you watch Game of Thrones is pretty awesome. And I was there for the winter, and winter Iceland was dope. But I hear that summer Iceland is even more dope, and I really want to go like and experience that. So yeah, those are the two things that come to mind. Go home and see family in Mexico, and then like Iceland, the most random, different places in the world. But that's what I would do. That's what I've been wanting to do. It's traveling.
Definitely. So who would you want to go to lunch with, dead or alive?
I'm gonna go back to the answer I said earlier. I would want to have lunch with Jesus. Not only for the reasons I explained earlier about like, hey, this dude seems kind of dope, like in a non-religious, like historical, social leader kind of way, social justice leader kind of way. But think about it. Like, if all the things he said are true, it's like unlimited fish and bread and wine for like for the entire lunch. No, I'm kidding. He just like I said, I feel like it seems like he would be a dope person just to kind of like ask questions to, right? Yeah. So it'd be like, oh, this would be an amazing lunch. If it was a three-way lunch, Jesus Christ, James Baldwin, and me, that would be a dope ass lunch. Think about the conversations that we would have between Jesus Christ, James Baldwin, and Hara. That would be dope. I'm gonna write a story. That's like that's a potential creative story waiting to write itself right there. But that'd be my answer.
Who would you love to see in concert perform?
Oh man, I've been wanting to see and I haven't gotten a chance to. I want to see Kendrick perform. Here's my top three, usually on repeat: Kendrick, Cole, J. Cole, and Mac. The third of which is no longer with us. Man, but I'd love to see them all live, even together. That'd be dope. But yeah, that'd be my answer.
Okay. So what breed of dog would you be?
Ugh. I think it'd be some type of like pit mix. I love pits are so cute. Like I just love their faces. I think they're like American pit bulls. But I've seen them mix with like other breeds and they just end up being like these, I don't know, these cute doggos that I like. So some type of American pit mix, I would say. Yeah. With a nice gray coat. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm talking about? I see some of those pits with like gray coats. So pretty. Anyway, that would be my answer.
I love dogs.
Same here.
So if you had to pick one for the rest of your life, what would it be? Podcasts or music?
Music, definitely. Music, it's the soundtrack to life. I feel like I listen to music all the time. And if you're like me, I like to like construct these stories in my head when I listen to music.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I've seen so many movies. But that's how it's another form of escape for me.
I would definitely agree. Definitely
Right.
a music girl. What is your guilty pleasure song?
I don't know if I have an exact song, but I'll go with an artist. I know he looks kind of funny and nothing wrong with that. He strikes me as a real cool dude. And he has a very beautiful voice. I think Ed Sheeran has a very lovely voice. And I have no issue in saying that, yeah, I have some of his songs on repeat. They're pretty good. And he seems like a legit, like down-to-earth dude. Like a person you would like, I don't know, just chill with, you know? But I would go with Ed Sheeran. No shame. Absolutely not.
Definitely. Very good songs. What did you have for breakfast this morning?
You just saw me eating it. Delicious peanut butter sandwich on 2 pieces of whole wheat bread. So good. So fibrous. I've really got into nutrition lately, so that's what I'm talking about. This in such detail. Fiber, it's good for you. Keeps you regular. Really important. Ah,
Okay. What is the strangest food you've ever eaten?
is it like, isn't milk weird? Like the cow's milk? You're just drinking like some other animals, like lactation. That's what comes up for me. Not that I'm hating on it. I still enjoy delicious tall glass of milk and ice cream. But I mean, if you're, step back and like just reflect on all the foods that are like normally eaten, I feel like milk would be up there, wouldn't it? I go with that one. And then I don't know if it's weird or strange. It might be for some folks, but when you Mexico, there's like so many different types of tacos. So you can go and get like a taco de lengua or cabeza, right? It's like eating tongue and like head, which might seem weird to most folks, but it's just like super tender meat. It's pretty good. Um, so I guess that's strange. It's all relative, right? It's all relative. But anyway, cow's milk. Think about it. Think about
Yeah, very
it.
true.
And I'm far from vegan, even though that sounds like a vegan talking point. Veganism is awesome. I think it's just funny.
Yeah. It's a very interesting thing to think about. What is your most prized possession?
Oh man, I don't. I'm trying to go through the catalog of things. It's not like I have like all these things. Yeah. I for whatever reason, I guess for a lot of reasons, the first thing that popped into my mind when you asked that question is, um, my dad and I went to Mexico a couple years ago. It might have been like 4 years ago now or 5 years ago. And it was the first time that I had ever gone to Mexico with my dad. It was just him and I. And it was the first time that we had gone together. I had gone with him as like a conscious adult. I had been to Mexico with my dad when we were like, and my entire family when we were younger. I was a kid. But when you're a kid, you're not as conscious, obviously. But I was like a grown ass man. I was like 20, 29 or going on 30 or something. And my dad, yeah, it was just him and me, and we spent time together. We went to my family's from Zacatecas, both sides of my family, and we spent time in the capital of Zacatecas, the state, which is also called Zacatecas City. People just call it Zacatecas. And we spent 2 days there, like chilling. And he would tell me about like the places he would go and the alleyways that he would take when he was younger, when he was like maybe around like my age or younger. And that whole we went back to like the little the pueblecito where my family's from, which is about 2 hours from the capital. It was just a really dope overall experience. And like one of the things that stands out for me is we were sitting on this bench in the city. And by the way, the city of Zacatecas is like beautiful. Like people want to go visit like Europe because for the architecture, because so beautiful. Go to like a lot of these older cities in Mexico. They're like legit, like I think even more beautiful. And I was we were sitting on a bench, and my dad was basically like, man, never like in a million years that I ever imagined that I would be here with like one of my sons. And he has lots of them. We have like five siblings. And I don't know why that resonated with me. Like it stuck with me. And that morning we went to breakfast together, and we ate at this breakfast spot, and it was good. And we talked. My dad's like super like serio. Like he's like stereotypical like Mexican dad, whatever that means, right? What comes up for me is like, very like, not very emotional, doesn't express his emotions very well, rather. Um, very serious. I get the furrowed brow from him on that side. But we had breakfast together, and then I kept the receipt from that breakfast, like I keep it in my wallet. And that's what I still have it. And I don't know. It's just that piece of paper, but it just takes me back to that experience with my dad.
Yeah, sometimes it's the little things that just like remind you of like the best things.
Right, right, right.
So, what makes you feel at peace?
What makes me feel at peace? I suppose my answer would be, and this isn't the healthiest answer, but I'm driven a lot by like to-do lists. Like this is my to-do list. Like I keep track of things. It's how I like make sure that I stay on top of what I got to stay on top of and handle my business. And like I often measure like my efficacy as a person at the end of the day by how many things I've taken off my to-do list. And it's a totally screwed up way of thinking about like your efficacy and maybe even like value to a certain degree of yourself based on like how much you're able to accomplish. Um, it's like which is totally like rooted in like this like capitalistic toxicity, right? That I'm still trying to unpack as I get older. Like I'm trying to like detach myself from that because yeah, when I cross more things off my list, do I feel better at the end of the day? I do. It brings me some type of peace, right? But I'm trying to like be able to like be better at finding peace with like, dude, if I only get one thing off my to-do list or nothing off my to-do list all day, that's okay. And things are going to be okay, right? And it's hard for me, like real talk, it's hard for me. Especially because both my parents like are like a lot of my family are hard workers, right? And I feel like that is ingrained, like we got to be hard workers too, right? And I think part of the work is like redefining what we mean by working hard, I guess. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud in front of you, Gabriela. Like being at peace and not working is also a form of like difficult work for someone that is not used to that, right? It's like heart work, mental work, right? Um, anyway, but yeah, and like a big bowl of like popcorn, just chilling. That also brings me like just like peace, just plugging away. Yo, you know what I discovered? Let me go back to one of the questions you asked earlier about snacks. Here's a good one. A big bag of popcorn from Costco, like any type they sell, like Skinny Pop or Popcornopolis, just basic, like lightly buttered and salted. And then you get a big ass box of Cheez-Its, and then you mix the two in a big bowl. Game changer. Give that a try. Give that a try. That is an amazing snack. Do that. Watch a really good movie. I still love watching films. If it's a dope ass film, then that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
I'm a big goldfish person, so I would do that with goldfish. I don't like Cheez-Its. I don't know what it is.
This conversation is over. How do we not goldfish, all right. I still respect goldfish. I respect the goldfish. I respect the goldfish.
Okay, so what is the best dish that you can cook?
All right. I think it's a very underrated dish. I don't know if you would even call it a dish, but you could turn it into one. One of my favorite foods, and now I'm just getting answers to other questions you've asked. This goes along with the snack, quarantine snack. One of my favorite foods is just straight up like quesadilla, right? And not like a Taco Bell quesadilla. None of this like Americanized nonsense, right? So here's how my family makes quesadillas. I mean, there's still some degree to like I guess Americanization to it. I guess I only use tortillas de harina, which is tortillas de maíz. Sorry, corn tortillas, not flour tortillas. Right? They have to be the corn tortillas, and it's usually like the same, like the ones that you could buy here. You could get at tortillas or whatever. Corn tortilla, and then my go-to cheese is Monterey Jack. Monterey Jack because it gives you still a very very mild flavor. It melts very well, and the stringiness, it's not too stringy like mozzarella because what's that, right? But it still gives you some, right? So I turn the comal on, which is a griddle, right? And put my tortilla on there, and then I put the cheese. And then if I want to get fancy, I might have a little like protein I want to add in there, an additional protein. So sometimes I'll make a little carne asada. Sometimes I'll cook up a little chorizo, right? Sometimes I will, if I want to be like extra bougie, I might even cook some shrimp, right? I want to be like fancy. Or if I just want to keep it simple, it's just straight up quesadilla, right? Now, it isn't just the ingredients, it's the how. So you got to make sure that it stays on the griddle long enough so that the tortilla and the cheese that spills out of it gets nice and crispy. The crispy part is like the best part of the quesadilla, both sides. You flip it, and then once it's nice and crispy, you take it off the griddle, the comal, you open it up, and then I'd just like to throw one slice of like avocado onto the quesadilla with a slight sprinkle of like sea salt, and boom, best thing you'll ever have in the entire world. Just to straight up like the savoriness of the cheese, the butteriness of the avocado. And by the way, California and Mexico have the best avocados. My preference are Mexican avocados. My dad says California avocados are a little bit better. I don't know, I tend to disagree, but the Mexican avocados I feel like are a lot, there's a certain butteriness and creaminess to it that's just like amazing. But again, the how is important. Without those crisps, it's still gonna be good, but if you get like a I don't know, a rubbery, flaccid looking quesadilla, it's not good. That doesn't taste as good. Trust me.
All right, I think we're gonna do one more. We're gonna end it with a good one.
Last question, huh? Let's hear it.
All right. Here it is. So if you were immortal and you had to stop aging at one age, what age would it be?
Oh man. I don't know. That's an interesting question because I'm not anti-aging. I don't mind getting older and aging, right? I just want to do so gracefully. That's my goal. I want to age as gracefully as I can. So I don't know if I would even like make that decision. But if I was forced to, I think this is probably the healthiest that I've been in my life, like ever. So I maybe even just stop now. And not just for like the physical aspects of it, like being healthy, like physically healthy, but like, sorry, that was the walking. But just like mentally, I feel like I've matured a lot at this point. So yeah, so I guess now is the age, which would be 34, which I guess is not that old. Maybe, I don't know. But that's my answer, Gabriela.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for asking a bunch of questions.
Yeah. You don't got any other ones? That's it? I was expecting some like curveballs.
All right.
These are good though.
More?
Yeah, give it to me.
All right. If you had a personal assistant, what would they do?
Oh man, if I had a personal assistant, what they would do? That's a good question. I would.
To-do list. So would you let them have it?
No, I wouldn't, because some of these things I like to do myself. You know what I would do if I had a personal assistant? I would have them do my most of my food prep.
Yeah. So
that's what I would
chef.
do. A personal chef. Could you imagine? Okay, a personal chef that knows exactly how you like your food. My God, that's the most baller ass thing ever. I would literally have them make me ask them to make the quesadillas like all the damn time. And of course I would have them sit down next to me and we'd break bread together. But man, that's a good goal. That's a good life goal. Personal chef. One day. One day.
One of those.
Right. Thanks for making the time, Gabriela. This is dope. I really enjoyed the questions, and know that you and all of our students out there can always hit me up for anything. I know even if you're not part of my pathway, like we're all part of the same community. Even that guy, Anderson over here for you also. Like we're all the administrators here are dope. I wouldn't be here otherwise, for real. But yeah.
Thank you so much for being here, and thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye.